Right, welcome back. The Gauteng COVID-19 Command Council, led by Premier David Makhura, will later this morning give an update on the province's response to the pandemic. Actually, we're told it's been moved to 1 o'clock. Makhura will also speak about investigations being carried out by the Special Investigating Unit, which includes a probe into the procurement of personal protective equipment in the Provincial Health Department. Our reporter Chriselda Lewis is keeping an eye on developments. Chriselda, I guess, taking from what we heard from the ANC briefing in Gauteng, saying that Dr. Bandile Masuku will be now placed on special leave, or is going on a leave of absence rather than special leave. This means a new MEC will be appointed. Are we likely to hear that announcement from that briefing you're attending?
Well, that's right, Blair. Let me just first clarify indeed that this press conference has been moved to 1 o'clock, and this is the first time that the Gauteng Premier David Makhura will be addressing the Provincial Coronavirus Command Council since being cleared after testing positive for COVID-19. And certainly, Blaine, the province remains the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak, with the total number of cases at 168,369. This accounting for 35.7% of the national cases. There have also been 1,836 deaths and over 105,000 recoveries. So Premier David Makhura, you must remember, is also the chairperson of the ANC in Gauteng. He will also brief us and the public on investigations, as you say, by the Special Investigating Unit, which is currently underway, including the specific investigation into the procurement of personal protective equipment, PPE, in the Gauteng Department of Health, which he requested in May this year. So last week, Premier Makhura expressing a concern around, the COVID-19 public health emergency being seen by some public officials as an opportunity to loot public resources. So earlier this morning, you correctly point out the Gauteng Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC resolving that both Chriselda Lewis and the Gauteng Health MEC, Dr. Bandile Masuku, and his wife, Loiso Masuku, who is also a member of the mayoral committee in Johannesburg, be subjected to the Provincial Integrity Committee with immediate effect. So it also welcomed in that press briefing a decision by Ms. Diko to take leave of absence while investigations continue. It also feeling that the MEC and the MMC Masuku also take leave of absence for the duration of 2 to 4 weeks while the processes of the SIU and the Provincial Integrity Committee are underway. So, Blaine, indeed, you're correct. The question now remains, who will act in Gauteng Health MEC Dr. Bandile Masuku's position while he is taking that leave of absence, given that the province remains the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak and is still battling with the spread of COVID-19.
Chriselda, do we know how deep the alleged rot goes in terms of corruption? How many cases are the SIU looking at?
Well, Blaine, that is one of the pertinent questions that we plan to pose to Premier David Makhura this afternoon, pertaining to exactly how many cases pertaining to the Gauteng Health Department are under investigation at this particular point. As you correctly pointed out, that you will give an update in terms of these investigations that he had asked for in May this year. So we're about to get a lot more clarity on exactly how many cases are under investigation at this stage, how far those investigations are. But certainly what does then cast a light in terms of putting a spotlight perhaps on the procurement processes within the Department of Health is this current case, which the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC in Gauteng has addressed a little bit earlier on this morning. So it'll be very interesting to see exactly how many are under investigation at this point, and how far those investigations themselves are at this particular point, because the specific one in question, of course you would know, it is in the public domain at this stage, is that it did not have a record in terms of history of providing these particular services. So it'll be very interesting to get an update from the Premier in terms of how far that investigation is and exactly who will act in the position of Dr. Bandile Masuku, who is the MEC of Health in the province.
All right, Chriselda Lewis, thank you very much indeed for that report. We'll come back to you at around 1 o'clock or so when this briefing is set to be held. Chriselda Lewis, they're live.